Our first speaker tonight is a Thirst alum, and she is the development director, where'd you go, for the Tor project. What is the Tor project? Well, let me ask you this. So, when you search Google, do you think it searches the entire internet?
Yes.
It doesn't. It only searches about 13% of the estimated amount of information on the internet. Where the hell is the rest of the data on the internet? That's a lot of information. Tor creates virtual tunnels through a lot of that so-called deep web. So Karen here is going to tell us a little bit about what it is, how you interact with it or don't, or why you wouldn't want to interact with it, and why your granny is a lot worse than a Trojan horse. So, to get started, with a thirst for information, well, please welcome Miss Karen Reilly.
Where's the clicky thing, Eric? I was told I would have control. Thank you. Okay. So, as he said, only 13% of the information on the internet is crawlable. So what Google does is it sends little virtual spiders to crawl around the internet, clicking on links, and then it indexes this. And it also is collecting information on your search habits, so that when you search for, say, I don't know, rabbit online, you're not going to get some blog that only 2 people read about how rabbits are really aliens who are here to do mind control for the government, whatever. You're going to get Wikipedia first, and that's good. So the rest of it, sometimes it's boring stuff, and you guys interact with the deep web every day. Your banking and your healthcare information, not searchable on Google. That's a good thing. And that's most of it. There's corporate intranets, things like that are taking a lot of bandwidth, and you can't get to it unless you're a part of that organization. Unless... This is from a boingboing.net post on stock photos of hackers. This is my favorite one, you know. It's either people think that you're in a basement coding, you know, or you're wearing a balaclava as you go along. I don't know if you can see he's also wearing a leather jacket as he's committing corporate espionage. I don't know, I wear a balaclava when I code because my face gets cold. Except mine is like a really obnoxious orange because Cheeto dust, Mountain Dew spills, you know. So, when you're talking about threat to the internet, this is the greatest threat to the internet. Actually, let me change it a little bit. Here's Granny. Here she is. She's on the intertubes, which are full of cats. And so she's merrily going along. You probably set up the computer for her. You did all sorts of nice things so that she can send you photos of her cats, because maybe you're not having grandchildren fast enough. And everything's going fine. You installed antivirus software on it. You know, you put a bunch of things so she can do stuff very easily until she responds to an email from Nigeria, or maybe she downloads an even cuter cat screensaver, or goes to a lyric site. You guys know those are full of malware. And gets a bunch of crap installed on her computer. So now she's on the front lines of the cyber war. So basically what malware is, it's anything that you don't want on your computer. One of the most common things, there's keyloggers. They actually record every single keystroke from your computer. And that means your passwords, that means your credit card information, all sorts of stuff that you don't want people looking at. And then one of the most nefarious things that malware can do is it can make your computer phone home to some sort of network. Your computer is under the control of somebody else. Now, this is a nice internet, happy computers that you control, talking to each other, sharing information, you know, making us a global society, until somebody takes control of it, and then you have a bunch of zombie computers on the internet. Now, think of a botnet as a cloud computing for evil. You can do anything on a botnet that you can do on the wider internet. You can store content, you can mask your location. Did you know that you have something called an IP address that can be linked to your physical location that every website that you visit knows about? Your IP address can be used to do all sorts of things, track you. So if a criminal doesn't want to be tracked online, they're going to use a botnet, and they're going to bounce their communications all over the world, because there are millions of computers in botnets right now. And if you get found out, if somebody gets blamed for your activities, you can just switch to another computer. And you may have heard of DDoS attacks as well. They're distributed denial of service attacks. Basically, you have the zombie computers go after your target, happy little computer, and eat its brains. I felt really bad when I made this slide for the computer. But it's not all bad. Distributing computing can also be used for good. So I work for the Tor project. What it does is it hides your communications and circumvents censorship by bouncing your communications all over the globe. There's 3 hops. So this computer may be in Germany, this one may be in the States, that one might be in Sweden, lovely countries, where people are volunteering their bandwidth for people to use. And the thing is, this is really important. If you are a survivor of domestic abuse and you're at a shelter, if you send an email with your IP address in the headers, people have been tracked down by their abusers. And maybe if you're an activist in Iran or Syria or any number of countries, hell, even the United States, the government is watching your activities, and you don't want that. Or things are just blocked. If you search for women's rights in Iran, you get nothing. If you search for other things in other countries, you get a happy little screen that says, are you sure you wanted to search for that? That goes against the harmony of our society. That's really bad. Now, even if you're not an activist, you might want to look into some of these tools. This is a handy little thing called Firesheet. It's a plugin. You just download it, put it in your Firefox. If you're sitting at Starbucks and people are logging into their Facebook accounts without going in and enabling some security stuff that I can talk to you about later, that encrypts your password, that basically turns it into a string of nonsense unless you have the key to unlock it. So you can sit there, and these are all these people in the Starbucks who have unsecured connections to their Facebooks. And you just click on them, and then you are them. You can do anything that they can do in their Facebook.
That's crazy talk.
It's easy, Eric. It is. I could teach all of you to do this. And then there's actually a tool called HTTPS Everywhere that was put out by the Electronic Frontier Foundation, another set of lovely folks, to get, again, to force an encrypted connection where it's available. I told everybody on my Facebook list about that, and they're like, Karen, whatever, I'm not in Iran. You got your tinfoil hat on again. And then I posted about Firesheet, and people were like, holy crap, what was that thing that you were on about? So you know a little bit about the deep web. What does the future hold for the internet? Well, it depends on who gains control. There are a lot of forces right now, right here in DC, that say unless we monitor everything that everybody does, the terrorists will win, that intellectual property will become a thing of the past, and 2 million people in Hollywood will lose their jobs. Or all the kids will fall into the hands of nefarious people. So even though there's a lot of really disturbing things online, most people are fundamentally good. Privacy is a good thing. Because when I was growing up as a kid, I would go to the library and nobody was looking over my shoulder thinking, Communist Manifesto, that's kind of weird. Maybe we should talk to you. That's going on online, whether you're doing something bad or not. And I think that's pretty disturbing. So, how am I doing on time?
You're great.
Okay. So.
You look good, by the way.
Oh, I know. Do we take questions at this thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Anybody?
Ask away.
You go.
So you said it depends on who gains control of it. So who are in your mind the good people, and who are the less good, more nefarious people?
All of you. You should have control over your information. If you want to give up your information to places like Facebook or Google, that should be a choice. If you want to, I use Google stuff all the time. They know exactly, they know I'm here right now. But that's okay, because I volunteered for that information, and they actually tell me what they're using it for, how much information they have. But right now there's a lot of rhetoric about cyber war, talking about the fact that terrorists use networks, and this is a bad thing. Well, Osama bin Laden knew about this, and he was using couriers. And then if you look at the encryption and stuff that they're using, it's actually really laughable. So on forums, there's this thing called Rope 13 that used to be, if you were posting a movie spoiler or something, it's just a substitution cipher that moves the letters across. You know, Caesar cipher, easy to break. It's just so that when you're looking at a post, that it's not readily apparent. You go and watch the movie; it hasn't been spoiled for you. There are people using that for stuff. So these are the people that we're up against. We really don't need a lot of stuff that impacts our civil liberties, and we get requests at Tor about finding people, and our response is we can't give up that information because we designed our system in a way that we can't be hacked, that we don't have the information in the first place to give up, which is very important if you have people coming after you using your online activities. But what does work is old-fashioned police techniques. They work. Social engineering. It doesn't matter what sort of technology you have. It can be completely foolproof. If they are looking into other things, if they're doing a good job, old-fashioned stuff, they can still find people. And that's going to be the thing moving forward. That is the only way law enforcement can effectively do their jobs in the digital age. And yeah, tell people this. I mean, we do education for law enforcement. I want the bad guys to be found, but I don't want them to look at the internet as some sort of Rube Goldberg contraption where you press a big shiny button that's been legislated into existence and the bad guys fall in a basket. Hooray. It's not going to work that way.
I think I got time for one more question. Someone in the back. Good answer.
So I have a question because you brought up social engineering. Shmi was a very old term from the 80s, but you brought up grandma. Oh, sorry. You brought up social engineering. No? Yeah. Okay.
Is it on?
There you go.
There we go. And I have one of those voices anyway. So I want to have a question with you about social engineering because you brought this up not just with the last conversation, but about grandma. Because grandma doesn't know always what she's revealing when she's giving out information, even about you. But most importantly, I think the average person has no concept about the information that they're giving up. So although you have the fire sheep up there, what are recommendations for people to sort of understand how much data that they're giving up about themselves freely to entities or organizations, it doesn't matter what the app is, that anyone can pull together about them?
Well, when you're using third-party websites, you're trusting that Facebook isn't going to decide to sell your information tomorrow. Or even if they have the best of intentions, that they're not going to have a really, really bad security staff who's just really crap at their job so that they get hacked. So if it's really important, don't put it online. So that's something, don't always trust people. And then some of the things that these third parties can do is make privacy a default. You shouldn't have to opt in to circumvent things like Firesheep. It should be something that's enabled by default, which is something that Firesheep, actually, the guy who made this is not a guy who wants to do things for the lulz to hurt everybody. It was actually to force websites to shore up their security, which is what hackers who break into things, they're actually doing that. They're pressuring websites to be better for consumers because a lot of us have stuff to do. You can't expect people to code their own stuff. You can't just say, read the friendly manual, otherwise you don't get privacy. That's not valid. So, I mean, part of it, yeah, talk to grandma. Look at her computer. Because I know my parents hadn't defragged their hard drive in a couple of months, and you clicked on the start button and it took 5 minutes to come up. So if you do, if you're willing to do tech support, let them know you're keeping our country safe.